Eddie, fight week. How exciting is this?
Very exciting. I mean, you got to love Derek Chisora. I mean, he's an enigma, and fans know what they get with him. You know, people talk about the defeats on his record. That's because this guy's gone in with everybody: Tyson Fury, David Haye, Vitaly Klitschko, Alexander Usyk, like Dillian White. He just takes big fight after big fight, and this time trying to revenge the loss to Kubrat Pulev. And going to be a very tough fight at the O2, but the whole arena will be behind him. He's ready to bring war, like he says, and fans know, whether they're in the arena or tuning in on DAZN, that's what he's going to bring, and he's going to bring you entertainment.
How significant do you think avenging that defeat is going to be for him as a motivating factor?
He just wants to go to war. You know, I've said that to him before, and I'd love to sell it that it's about revenge, but he just wants to entertain the fight fans. He just loves fighting. Obviously, he's lost to Pulev before in a close fight, and he'd love to get that victory to avenge that. But I said to him, if you win this fight, you could land a massive fight in the heavyweight division. Deontay Wilder, could I? I said, and if you lose this fight, you might have to retire. Well, will I? He doesn't care. You know, he talks about his kids coming on Saturday. So I'm not losing in front of my kids on Saturday night. So he's going to give it everything, and that's great to know as a fan that you're going to see someone that won't leave anything out of that ring.
And for a sort of casual boxing fan audience like ours, how would you sell the fight to them?
I would sell the fight like, if you want to watch a tough man bite down on his gum shield, go to war, give every inch of his soul for your entertainment in a brutal fight, tune in on Saturday, because that is what you get with Derek Chisora. Watch YouTube, watch the previous fights. This guy he's such an unbelievable servant to British boxing. It's a big heavyweight fight for the division, and it could be the last fight for the loser on Saturday night. So absolute must win.
And where can they watch it?
Live on DAZN. Huge schedule coming up. Of course, Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk, Canelo Alvarez against Gennady Golovkin 3. But first things first, Saturday night, Derek Chisora against Kubrat Pulev.
And if I can ask you, just sort of moving slightly away from specific boxing question now, big questions for on sports, and something which a lot of our viewers and listeners care about are the issue of sex segregation in sports. The swimming rules have been ruling that elite athletes should be segregated by the sex they were assigned at birth. Is that going to apply in boxing as well?
I think boxing is such a physical sport. You've got to be very, very careful in terms of going down that route. It's not an issue that we've had to overcome at the moment, and I think it's something that has to be looked into very, very deeply, especially when you're talking about contact sports or sports that can cause physical harm as well. We're not talking about swimming here, we're talking about a sport where you're going in and striking your opponent. So we leave that to the authorities, but I think it's definitely something that, as the world continues to evolve and change, governing bodies need to be across.
But you wouldn't want to put a fighter as assigned male at birth in with one of your women fighters on your...
I don't believe so. I think that ultimately we need to make sure that the sport is safe, the sport is fair. I guess it's case by case scenario on so many of those different things. It's not something that's come into the sport yet, but if it does, it's something that the governing bodies definitely need to be across.
And Anthony Joshua's rematch with Alexander Usyk, big fight,
huge,
big globally as well, with Ukraine being such a salient issue. You've had the Klitschko brothers be real ambassadors for their country. What would you make of what they've been doing throughout the conflict?
Incredible. I mean, it's obviously we're over here in the UK. We don't see what happens on the ground. We see the reported news, which looks, incredibly sad for everybody involved. And they're two people that are obviously incredibly proud of their country as well, but have huge profile. And they're out there every day, leading the battle, the fight for the country, and they're great ambassadors for Ukraine. Alexander Usyk, the same. This is an opportunity for their country to be on a global platform to, publicise their campaign for peace. So the Klitschkos have done a tremendous job.